Hello children, I welcome you all to yet another session of learning. In this video, I am going to deal with Poem-2 Geography lesson of Class 8 Honeydew book. This poem is written by Zulfikar Ghosh. Now, let us know about the poet. Zulfikar Ghosh was born in India before independence. Eventually, after independence, he settled in Pakistan and now he resides in the USA. He has written short stories, novels, and 5 books of literary criticism. His books are The Native in the year 1972, The Beautiful Empire in the year 1975, A Different World in the year 1978. Now, coming to his poems, Laws of India in the year 1964, Jets from Orange 1967, The Violent West 1972, A Memory of Asia in the year 1984, Selected Poems 1991, and finally the poem that is Geography lesson he has written in the year 1969. So now this poem we are going to read in detail. Now we'll see what does this poet Zulfikar Ghosh wanted to describe in this particular poem. So this poem is divided into 3 different stanzas. So he describes in the first stanza, the poet describes the view of a city while he travels in a jet. That is, he describes his city as it appears from the window of an aeroplane. Now coming to the second stanza, from 10,000 feet above the ground, the city looks different as if it is geographical design. Here in the second stanza, the poet describes how the city looks from an altitude of about 10,000 feet from ground. Right? Now coming to the third stanza, some facts are clear to him but some unclear. So for the poet, some facts about this particular geography of the earth, so all that some are clear to him, but some disturbing questions come to his mind when he sits in the jet. So let us see what are those disturbing questions which come across his mind. Let us see that by reading the poem in detail. So let us see the striking ideas expressed in the poem by Zulfikar Ghosh. When the jet sprang into the sky, it was clear why the city had developed the way it had. Seeing it scale 6 inches to the mile, there seemed an inevitability about what on ground had looked haphazard, unplanned and without style, when the jet sprang into the sky. When the jet reached 10,000 feet, it was clear why the country had cities where the rivers ran and why the valleys were populated. The logic of geography, that land and water attracted man, was clearly delineated when the jet reached 10,000 feet. When the jet rose 6 miles high, it was clear the earth was round and that it had more sea than land. But it was difficult to understand that the men on the earth found causes to hate each other, to build walls across cities and to kill. From that height, it was not clear why. So now let us see each and every stanza clearly. Okay. When the jet sprang into the sky, it was clear why the city had developed the way it had, seeing it scale 6 inches to the mile. So here sprang means flew, and then here scaled is measured. So here the poet says that when the jet sprang means when the jet moved up or flew up into the sky, it was clear for the poet. And what was clear for the poet, children? Yes, the poet, he understood that why the city had developed the way it had, because everything looked so small that there's a mile seemed to be like 6 inches. So everything looked so small from above. There seemed an inevitability about what on ground had looked haphazard, unplanned and without style, when the jet sprang into the city. So here it becomes inevitable. Inevitable means cannot be avoided, that everything developed unplanned, without style. So without style means without any sort of pattern. There was no sort of proper organized way. So here everything developed unplanned without a proper pattern. Okay, why did the earth look inevitable from the sky, children? Yes, because one cannot see the whole of it on the earth. We can see only in part. Okay, so because one cannot see the whole of at once. At once we can't see everything. As we are a part of the earth, we see only in parts. So when you are in the on this particular earth, you can see that particular area, that particular part only. So when you move to a certain altitude, then only you will be able to have a clear view of all the things, right? And then when the jet sprang into the sky. So here again the poet repeats the first line, that is when the jet sprang into the sky. So that means that he saw all this when the jet plane was in the air. So for him he describes the city as it appears from the window of an aeroplane, right? Now we'll move on to the second stanza, children. When the jet reached 10,000 feet, it was clear why the country had cities, where the rivers ran, and why the valleys were populated. So here valley means it is a low-lying area of land between hills or mountains, typically with a river or stream flowing through it. Here you can have the picture of it or the image of it, children. Right? Now coming to these lines, so here in the second stanza, the poet says that when the jet plane went higher, that is up to 10,000 feet in the sky, now looking below at the country, what one could see, one could clearly see that the cities in the country had developed along the rivers. Okay, so all the cities they have developed along the rivers, and it was natural because people need water, isn't it, children? In the same way, from that height, the poet could see why people had settled in valleys also. So he could find people near the valleys as well as near the rivers. So as these rivers water they use for agricultural purpose and all their necessities, for that sake he has seen people settling near the rivers and the valleys. Now we'll move on to the next lines. The logic of geography, that land and water attracted man, was clearly delineated when the jet reached 10,000 feet. So now here we have a word delineated. Delineated means depicted or shown. So what is shown? We'll see. What is the logic of the geography? So here the poet provides the logic of geography, which is clearly depicted, which is clearly delineated, which is clearly shown, the reason that made people to settle in an unorganized way. So all the people have settled in an unorganized way. Why did they settle in an unorganized way? Because they have come across the rivers or the valleys over there, and near those places they have settled. So that's why everything was unorganized. And the people they settled where land is fertile, or where they were able to see the land and water which was easily available for the people, right? Now we'll move on to the next stanza. When the jet rose 6 miles high, it was clear the earth was round and that it had more sea than land. So here in the third stanza, the poet says that when the airplane was at the height of around 6 miles, it became clear that the earth is round and that it had more sea. That means it had more water than land. But it was difficult to understand that the men on the earth found causes to hate each other, to build walls across cities and to kill. From that height, it was not clear why. So here the poet understood the logic of geography from that height. However, he couldn't understand the logic of human hatred for each other. He couldn't understand why they have decided to live separately, right? Why there are walls across the cities, and why do people want to kill each other? And at such a height, the poet sees the earth as one. But people and also people were supposed to be one. But he wonders why people are divided. That he couldn't understand. Right? So now here, what do we understand by this particular poem, children? What does this poem gives? What message it gives us? Yes, here the poem gives us the message of living with each other. We need to live with each other as we are sharing the earth. So we have to live with each other peacefully. We should have fraternity and brotherhood among ourselves. And also, and it is very easy for us to understand the logic of geography from a height. And however, it is difficult for us, or however, from that particular height, it was very difficult to understand for the poet why humans hate one another. That remains history, but we have to make our earth very beautiful. So we have to live on this beautiful earth. So in order to live on this beautiful earth, we have to live with each other. We have to share the things. We have to live with each other very peacefully, and we have to keep up the brotherhood among ourselves, right, children? So now we'll see the poetic devices. So now, coming to these poetic devices, the first one is the rhyme scheme. So now I have taken the first stanza and I'll show you the rhyme scheme. So what is this rhyme scheme? It is the pattern of the sound that repeats at the end of a line in each and every stanza. So now we are going to see the pattern of sound, okay, that repeats at the end of a line in a stanza. So now for the first stanza, now you can see the last words. You can underline very well, children. Last word in the first one is, in the first line, the last word is sky, then city, then had, mile, inevitability, haphazard, style, sky. So now first line, last word is sky. So we'll go with A, right? Now the sky, again you can see in the last line, again sky. So we'll give A for the first line, line A, and the last line also A. Now next city. As city is not rhyming with sky, we'll give another alphabet, that is B. Next had. Had also, it is not, the sound is not same with city and sky, so we'll go with C. Then mile. Mile also has a different sound with the other three, so we take D. Then inevitability, T, city, so we go with B, right? Then haphazard and had both rhyme, so we'll take C. Then style, it rhymes with mile, so we take up D. So last one, already we have written A. So now the rhyme scheme of this particular stanza is A, B, C, D, B, C, D, A. So is it clear, children? Now we'll see the other poetic devices of the first stanza. Now first we'll go with alliteration. So what is this alliteration? It is the occurrence of the same letter or sound at the beginning of adjacent or closely connected words. So we'll see the sound of the beginning of a word which are closely connected to each other, right? Now see the first line. When the jet sprang into the sky. So sprang, sky, sir sound, right? Now see the fourth line. Seeing it scale 6 inches to the mile. So seeing, scale, 6, sir, right? Beginning of the word sir. Seeing sir, scale sir, and 6 sir, right? Now next you can go with the another line. What about on ground had looked haphazard. So had looked haphazard. Her sound. Had, in that had her, and haphazard her. So both are same sound, right? Now again the last line, the same, sprang into the sky. So sir and sir. So these are the alliteration, right? Now we'll go with the another poetic device, that is repetition. So repetition means what it is? It is using the same word or phrase or a line over and over again in a piece of writing. Okay, so why this repetition is used by the poets, children? Right, it is used to create rhythm and it brings attention to an idea, right? So now see the first line and the last line, aren't they same? Right, so both the lines are same, so it is repetition. That is when the jet sprang into the sky, right? Now we'll see another poetic device. The other one is the enjambment. So what is this enjambment? So enjambment is a literary device in which a line of poetry carries its idea or a thought over to the next line without a grammatical pause. So that is, it carries the idea or a thought to the next line. So now just find out, can you find it out? Yes. Now see, second and third line. It was clear why the city. So here there is no grammatical pauses there, and it is continuing. So it was clear why the city had developed the way it had. Then you have a comma, right? So second line and third line, they are the enjambment, right? Now see the fifth line and the sixth line. So fifth line, there seemed an inevitability, and there is no grammatical pause, and that is carried on to the next line. So the ideas, okay, the ideas are carried to the next line. That is, about what on ground had looked haphazard. Now then there is a comma. So now we'll go with fifth line and sixth line. Both are enjambment, right? Is it clear, children? Now we'll move on to the second stanza and we'll see the rhyme scheme. Now in the second stanza, you can underline all the last words of each and every line. Now first one is feet, and see the last one, feet. So we'll go with A. Next is country. So country, it doesn't rhyme with feet. Okay, so we go with B alphabet. Now ran. Ran also, it doesn't rhyme with the other two words. So we'll take C. Then populated, also it doesn't go with the other three. We take D. Then geography. So geography, country, both are rhyming. So for country we have given B. So for geography also we'll give B, right? Next, man. Man goes with ran. So for ran we have given C. So man also will give C, as both are rhyming. Then delineated. So this is going with populated. So we'll give D. So feet already we have given A. So now the rhyme scheme of this particular stanza is A, B, C, D, B, C, D, A. Right, children? Now we'll see the other poetic devices of this particular stanza. Now see the repetition. So the repetition, you can see the first line and the last line. It's clear. When the jet reached 10,000 feet. So it is a repetition. Now coming to the alliteration. So where are the alliteration? Where are the words? Here you can see the third line. Okay. Reverse ran. R sound. Okay. Now see the next fourth line, children. Why the valleys were populated. Why the valleys? So even though the alphabet of Y alphabet, first alphabet is W, and valley, the alphabet of that particular word, first the word is V, both are have the same sound, V sound. Okay, so it is a alliteration, right? Both go with the same sound. So there we will not see the alphabet, we'll see the sound of it, right? We have to see the sound in this. Now coming to the enjambment. So enjambment, as you very well know, that it is it carries the ideas or the thoughts to the next line without any grammatical pause. Now see the second line. It was clear why the country had cities where the rivers ran. So it was clear why the country, continuation it is, had cities. So it is being carried to the next line, right? It is carried forward. The meaning of the line is carried forward. Okay, but it is separated with two lines. Okay, so that is enjambment. Now see the fifth line. The logic of geography. Here there is an hyphen, children, but it is not it is not a comma or anything. It is, the ideas are carried to the next one. The logic of geography, that land and water attracted man, was clearly delineated. So this fifth line, sixth line and seventh line. Okay, so 5, 6 and 7, these three lines have the same idea, or the meaning of the line is carried forward and it is separated in three different lines. So here we have enjambment in line 2, 3, 4 and line 5, 6 and 7. Right, children? Now we'll move on to the next stanza. So next stanza we'll see the rhyme scheme. So now first, when we write the rhyme scheme, children, you have to underline the last word of each and every line. Now the first one, high will go with A. Then round. Round is not rhyming with high, so we go with B. Land also is not rhyming with the other two, so we'll take C. Understand. So understand and land are rhyming, so we take same alphabet C. Then found. Found is rhyming with round, so for round we have given B, so found will give B, right? Now next build. Build is rhyming with land and understand, so for those two we have given C, so here also we'll take C. And kill. Kill is not at all rhyming with any of the above words, so we will take D alphabet. And Y and high both are rhyming, so we take A. So now the rhyme scheme of this particular stanza is A B C C B C D A, right children? Now for this stanza we'll see the other poetic devices. So now we have only one poetic device over here, that is enjambment. So as I have already told what is enjambment. So enjambment, it is a device or a literary device or a poetic device in which a line of poetry or the line the ideas of one line is carried, or the thoughts or the ideas, they are carried to the next line without any grammatical pause, right? Now see the second line. It was clear that the earth was round and, so it is continuing, okay? That line is carried forward, okay, and it is making two separate lines, right? And that it had more sea than land, so line 2 and 3 are enjambment, right? Now we'll go with the fourth line. But it was difficult to understand, okay, understand that the men, so it is continuing, that the men on the earth found after found also again that the idea continues, found causes to hate each other, right? So here we see 4, 5 and 6, they are the enjambment. So that is that particular poetic device is there in this particular stanza. We come across only one poetic device, that is enjambment. So is this clear children? Have you all understood the poem and the poetic devices, rhyme scheme, everything? Yes. Thank you.